Okay, so you should have your curriculum open to 1.3.4 CAD modeling skills. And in this particular chapter, basically what we're going to do is we're going to go over some basic skills, especially dealing with constraining items. So let's take a look at the objectives. Okay, so if you take a look at our objectives, it says our goal is to correctly build and constrain three-dimensional solid computer model to accurately represent the physical characteristics and behaviors of a design idea or real object. And what this is getting you guys ready to do is complete 1.3.7, where you guys are going to design an earbud case. So really the only thing I'm going to do is follow these instructions here, and I'm going to try to simplify them for you, okay? So since we are starting a new activity, go ahead and open Fusion 360, and inside Fusion 360, I want you to create a new folder. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to access my data panel, or I'm going to click Save, and I'm going to say, let's call this Modeling Skills. And I'm going to create a new folder inside that 1.3 that I created earlier. So now I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it 1.3.4. So everything that I create in 1.3.4, we're going to save here. And basically that's what instructions 1 and 2 is talking about. Basically organizing your information appropriately. Next thing we want to do is we want to create a new component. So click Create and choose New Component. Okay, and let's just call this component constraining geometric shapes. Click OK. Click Create once again. We're going to create a new sketch. I'm just going to click on this vertical plane. And if you scroll down to instruction 4, it's telling you to create a rectangle. And actually what we're going to do is create a center rectangle. So I'm going to click Create. I'm going to choose Rectangle. I'm going to choose Center Rectangle. Start from my origin. And it wants it to be 4 inches vertically. So I'm going to type 4. Then I'm going to tab. And I'm going to make it 6 inches in width. And I'm going to press Enter. All right, so I'm going to scroll down to the next one where it says polygons. And it tells me that I'm going to add 3 polygons inside the sketch, and it's giving me a figure it's kind of telling me where to locate it. I'm going to locate it a little bit different because Fusion 360 will create what's called an automatic constraint, where it makes it tough to move the object. So we're going to start off with the pentagon. So I'm going to take my mouse, I'm going to click Create, choose Polygon, and you have 3 options here. You have a circumscribed polygon, you have an inscribed polygon, and an edge polygon, okay? And we're going to use all 3 of these. So if you take a look at the icon there, or the picture, a circumscribed polygon, you can kind of see there's a circle inside where the lines of the polygon is kind of on the outside, but it's running tangent to that circle that's inside. If you look at an inscribed polygon, it's just the opposite. So the inscribed polygon, the polygon actually appears inside the circle when you're creating it, and the points are tangent with the circle. So we're going to start off with a circumscribed polygon. And again, I'm not going to draw it along these lines. So I'm going to come right here, And I'm going to draw my polygon, and for my measurement, I'm going to type 0.35, then I'm going to press Tab, and it's going to be a pentagon, so it's going to have 5 sides. And then I'm going to press Enter to accept it. Then I'm going to come over here to the right side, and I'm going to draw an inscribed hexagon. So I'm going to click Create, Polygon, and I'm going to choose Inscribed Polygon, and I'm going to do the same thing. This one is going to have a radius of 0.25. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to type 0.25. And because it's a hexagon, it needs to have 6 sides, which it already does by default. And I'm going to press Enter. Now, when I come down here, it wants me to draw an equilateral triangle. So I'm going to click Create, choose Polygon once again. I'm going to choose Edge Polygon. And it's going to be 1.25. So I'm going to try to get it as close, with each of these blocks being 1/4 inch. So I'm going to need 5. And I'm going to type 1.25. And I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag. I'm going to tell it I want 3 sides because it's equilateral, and I want the triangle to go to the left side or the inside. And then I'm going to press Enter to accept. Actually, I'm going to have to do that again because I messed up. So I'm just going to do a Control Z. Oops, Control, bring that back. I'm going to do that again. I've obviously did something wrong. So Edge Polygon, I'm going to start down here. And I'm going to type 1.25 because that's the size I want. I'm going to click, and I want it to be 3 sides. And there you go. So right now I'm at 5, instruction 5. I just finished that 3rd bullet, so we'll call that 5C. So if you look at instruction 6, it says use the following geometric dimensional constraints to constrain the polygons. The center of the pentagon is on a vertical line through the center of the rectangle. So we want to constrain it right here. One side of the pentagon is horizontal and located 1/2 inch above the center point of the rectangle. One side of the hexagon is parallel 6 inches with the 6-inch side of the rectangle. The center of the hexagon is coincident with the diagonal of the rectangle. The center of the hexagon is 1/2 inch below the top side of the rectangle. One vertex of the equilateral triangle is coincident with the corner of the rectangle. The center point of the equilateral triangle is coincident with the diagonal of the rectangle, okay? So, the first thing we're going to do, I am going to click on my line tool. Now with my sketch palette still open, right here where it says line type, we want to click construction line, okay? A construction line is basically like a dashed line, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to point to the center, that top line or top edge of my rectangle. Notice it lets me know that I'm in the center because it gives me a little X with a triangle in the upper left corner of it. So I'm going to click one time, and then I'm going to drag down until I see the same thing at the bottom. So I just bisected that triangle. Now, next thing I want to do is I'm going to click over here where it says horizontal or vertical constraint. I'm going to click on it one time, and I'm going to click on that bottom line. And it's going to make sure the bottom line is basically parallel with this. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click coincident. I'm going to click on the center of my pentagon, and then click on my construction line, and it constrains it to my construction line. And notice, As I do this, it gives me symbols that let me know it is constrained. Now, 6B tells me, I'm going to review that instruction. It says one side of the pentagon is horizontal and located 5 inches above the center point of the rectangle. So I'm going to use my dimension line, find the center point of my rectangle, and I'm going to click that bottom line, drag out to the left, and I'm going to make sure that bottom line is 1/2 inch above the center of my rectangle. Next step, one side of the hexagon is parallel with the 6-inch side of the rectangle. So I'm going to click on my parallel constraint. I'm going to click on one side of my hexagon, and then I'm going to click on my top edge, and that makes one side parallel with this. So that's constraint. Next thing it tells me is the center of my hexagon is coincident with the diagonal of the rectangle. So this diagonal, we need to make this center point coincident here. So I'm going to click coincident. I'm going to click on the center point of my hexagon and click on the diagonal. And it also tells me that the center of the hexagon should be 1/2 inch below the top side of the rectangle. So I'm going to click my dimension tool, click the top edge of my rectangle, and I'm going to click the center of my hexagon. I'm going to drag out to the right, and that should be 1/2 inch apart. All right, and actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of bring that in a little bit. All right, next step. The center, one vertex of the equilateral triangle is coincident with the corner of the rectangle. So I'm going to click coincident, and I'm going to click one of my vertexes, and I'm going to come down here to the corner, because that vertex should be coincident with the corner of my rectangle. And now it says the center point of the equilateral triangle should be coincident with the diagonal of the rectangle. So I'm going to leave coincident selected. I'm going to click on the center point of my triangle. Then I'm going to click on my diagonal. So there we go. All right, and this is the end of part 1. So I want you to go ahead and save. And now you can move on to part 2.